much for the invitation. Hi, everybody. As Father, when he asked me, I was thinking about what can I say about the monastic life, and it's my life in general, so it seemed quite broad. But then when I spoke with Mother, she sparked something in me, and then the more I pondered on it, the more I found it in scriptures. And if we look at Ecclesiastes, I believe it's 3:11, we'll find a verse that says, "And he also placed eternity in their hearts." And the more we think about our early fathers and the monastics who went before us, there's always something in common, that there was this pull from the deepest desires of the heart to find the Lord. And it could be even when the person is not aware that he's searching for something. Even if you look at the example of St. Moses the Strong, if you know his story, he was a very evil man, a thug, if we would put it in our day-to-day language. But even in the midst of everything he was doing, killing and stealing, in the very depths of his heart, he was always searching for God. And in the midst of the darkness of sin, Christ was always there. Christ is always meeting us in our hell and in our Hades, just like St. Silouan attests to keep thy mind in hell and despair not. And so simply, when the heart is desiring for the Lord, and it's from that spring, from that desire, from that seed, from that eternity, can one find his calling such a monastic life. And so this is not only for monastics to be able to find their calling, but everybody to be able to find the path that the Lord has placed them on. But put very simply, I joined the monastery when I was 21 years old, not because this is what I wanted, not because this is what I had envisioned my life to be at all, but rather because the desire that was in my heart throughout all my life, and the fear that I even had that God would call me to such a life, the moment I realized that this is the calling that the Lord was putting before me, the more all of these fears settled. It doesn't mean that there weren't challenges, it just means that the moment that this life was presented before me in a very real way, the moment that I realized that this is really the gap that the soul has been longing for, the area that the Lord wants to dwell in me in, and by it kind of lead me in my life and in my calling. And so likewise, we follow also our early fathers. We don't just enter into something that we have invented in this world or in this life so that we can be different as Orthodox or as Christians, but rather we follow in the footsteps of those who preceded us, down to the early fathers, down to the apostles. And as it says in the Song of Songs in the first chapter, that when the bride is asking, "Where do you feed your flock?" and the bridegroom responds, "Follow the footsteps of the flock and you'll find the place." And so the place where our hearts really long and desire to find, to be near the Lord, to be in his pasture, to be in his sheepfold, is always found when we follow the real and sure path of those who have gone before us, because it all roots in Christ. And since we are all rooted in Christ, we are offered always the same infilling. We are offered always to be in the image of Christ in that very same way. For us, it is presented in the monastic life, but again, for everyone, it's presented to be in the image of Christ as believers, as a bride of Christ, as his church. So put very simply, that is something about the monastic life, maybe something to think about and to see how the Lord stirs in our hearts, even the times when we think, I am really empty, I'm really hungry, I'm really dry, I'm really numb, everything is so meaningless. Know that in that very emptiness, that very hell, that very pit, that very darkness, that Christ is so near. Christ is very much there and is as if rejoicing and saying, I'm so ready to fill that emptiness. I'm so ready to infill with my love. I'm so ready to open you up to what I've created you for. But just cultivate that seed within my heart. Cultivate that. Even when it's uncomfortable, cultivate that within yourself, and you'll find Christ very much there. And know that despite whatever it is that you are undergoing, that He will always be the one who leads us out. It's not by my own efforts, but it's really through the abundance of His grace and love. So that is
Thank
about
you.
the monastic life. You're very welcome.
Maybe I'll say something after the